My favorite looks from London Fashion Week, plus how episode 1 of Pure Fashion was accidentally a little prophetic, plus is your Shein about to be taken away from you, and would that be such a bad thing? We're going to tiptoe into fast fashion coming up on this episode of Pure Fashion. All right, we have some fun stuff coming up for you guys on this episode of Pure Fashion. But first, let's get to the birthdays. First up, Jason Wu celebrating his 42nd birthday on September 27th. He learned how to sew by making clothes for dolls. And so you can kind of see a little bit of that feminine playfulness in his collections, at least when he first started, making him one of my favorites back then. So happy birthday, Jason Wu. Next up, Bonnie Cashin on the 28th. And she was iconic for trailblazing active sportswear. Thank you, Bonnie, for that. We're all grateful to be able to sweat stylishly. Jean Pateau on the 27th is also someone who is known for creating the most expensive perfume ever. It took 28 dozen roses. That was not the only flower in there, but 28 dozen roses for each 1 ounce of this perfume. Not just that he created this super expensive perfume, but he did so during a time when Wall Street was completely down and the stock market had crashed. This was his solution for himself. Coffee and couture. Let's check out my favorite looks from London Fashion Week. It was their 40th anniversary, and honestly, I saw a lot of shows I didn't like a lot, but there was one saving grace, and that was the Burberry show. So let's look at some of these and check them out. One thing that I saw a lot of in London, which this is the spring summer 2025 show, was a lot of very dark colors, which is why I wasn't a fan. There was a lot of black, a lot of very dark colors. One actual color that I saw, because black is actually the absence of color. So one actual color that I saw used was brown, and they would mix that with reds. Sometimes they would even mix that with light blue, which that was a nice color combination that they did. But pretty much everything that you see here in this Burberry show, it's like so me. Everything is like, get in my closet. Look at this with the fur around the neck, and then just chic, polished, stylish, feminine, but clean, polished lines. Also a little bit of glam in there with that fur and some shiny, of course, because that's the trend now, shiny. Very well put together outfits for both men and women. Those yellow pants is something that I've been actually trying to make or get ever since ever. See, that's what says spring, not dark colors. Because spring is supposed to be like springing to life and summer salting into summer, not like darkness. So speaking of London Fashion Week, did you know that it showed something that made the first episode of Pure Fashion accidentally a little prophetic? What I mean is that Miss Rihanna, showed up in a bath gown. Yes, homegirl showed up completely comfy core, which is what I said in that episode. I said, I am comfy core a lot of times because I work from home. So why not, you know? And she made it a thing. She showed up at London Fashion Week in her bath gown and comfy. Did you guys know it's 88 days until Christmas?
Oh my God!
You can never be too prepared for that. So gift buying is something that should be on everyone's priority list right now. And just an alert that there's going to be fewer attendance at these stores this year than last year. Last year, there were 564,000 jobs created for the holiday season. And this year, it's only going to be 520. So this is a little alert just to be nice to those employees that are trying to assist you to buy the perfect gift while they sacrifice their holiday hours with their family to help you get that perfect gift. So be nice. Sometimes we want to get these gifts as least expensive as possible, and why not resort to Shein or Temu, because those are so cute but super affordable. However, things might change soon. There's going to be a tax added to these Chinese imports that are coming in that are under $800. Previously, that was a loophole. And because everything was so cheap, Shein and Temu were able to get away with it without being taxed. But now they're closing that loophole and they are going to add that tax onto there. So, is there going to be something happening there? Shein is pretty confident that it's not going to really affect them, but we'll see. We'll see how everything goes. Holding retailers accountable is not just something that's happening in the US, it's happening around the world, more so, hopefully. In the UK specifically, 17 different retailers received letters.
Better yet, I'm gonna write a letter. Dear Mr.
17 different retailers received letters from the company and marketing authority about how they were using these sustainable marketing techniques that were not actually true, such as this little tag that says recycled materials, and only a little part of that garment had some recyclable materials. With the letter, they also received a helpful guide with different practices that they should have in place to follow with the laws of sustainability and to be able to brand themselves as such. I think that guide would be useful for any one of our retailers, right? I think so. Did you know that fashion is responsible for a large part of the pollution in the world? And that comes into three different categories. One is the creation of it, which we know that the majority of the carbon footprint is with the plastic. So any synthetic fiber like polyester mostly, it's going to have a much larger carbon footprint than the natural fibers, such as cotton, is in the care of the garment. So whenever you wash your clothes, it creates another like pollution to the water, to all this stuff. As soon as you wear something, make sure that you, after you finish with it, of course, you hang it up to dry and all of the elements that it has been through in the day can be kind of aired out. So that will keep you from having to wash it as often. But I know that we all want to smell good. So I completely understand either way. The third one is in the disposal of these clothes. And because they are a lot of synthetic fibers, which polyester is the most known, I think, in all of our clothes, or they are a blend, they are thrown out. And because they are in those plastics, they don't decompose into the environment like something like cotton or linen would. We need to also keep in mind that just for the creation of these fabrics, it takes a lot. And when fast fashion comes into play, that you're paying so little bit for each garment, it doesn't match up because these are being made in these very poor countries that they don't pay the workers well. And the fabrics take so much from their resources to even be made. For example, for one cotton t shirt, it takes about as much water as you would drink in 2.5 years. For a pair of jeans, it takes 7,500 liters. That's what one person would drink in 7 years. So when you consider these things, plus the cost of everything else and plus the labor and everything, and then you get a garment that's like $7, and it's like, why? Why is this $7? Why is this pair of jeans $15 when we know how much goes into it in the material, but also the labor and the creation of it? So it's good for our pockets, but who is being shortchanged here? Are we enabling human trafficking? Are we enabling these poor practices? So let's instead be good stewards of the money that God has given to us. Research the companies that we are investing in, because those are investments that we make. Anytime that you give your money to someone, that's an investment. Only give your money to people that you actually want to grow, right? Let's be good stewards of the finances God has given us. So, on that note of sustainability, New York State has actually launched some grants, and not just grants, the awardees are going to also be mentored by professionals in their industries to help create new ways to be sustainable, have these sustainable practices. And these are going to researchers, but also fashion designers, as well as farmers. About $10,000 will be given to these startup companies. So that's such a good way to get some extra funding for things that you are trying to do that will help New York State. Fashion accounts for about $25 billion a year in New York. So people are questioning, is this the start of the government to start to regulate fashion? But I'm like, would that be such a bad thing? We see how in the UK, it's kind of working because it's helping to protect different things, such as like the haute couture name. It is protecting, and no one can call themselves haute couture, just like no one can call themselves organic over here unless it is following these certain things. Same thing over in UK. No one can call themselves haute couture unless they follow these certain guidelines and are registered with them over there. So it might be a good thing, I think. I don't know. What do you guys think? Speaking of awards, Tory Burch and several other designers are nominees for an award that will be given by the CFDA. That's the Council of Fashion Designers of America. The awards for the designers will be given in October. I'm going to highlight it so you guys know who the winner is. The topic of this week: 2 truths and a lie. All right, you guys, let me know what you think is a lie. 1, I love shopping. 2, the first time I ever wore a pair of pants was in Wisconsin in my teens. 3, a friend said of my closet that I hardly have any clothes. What do you guys think is the truth, and what do you guys think is a lie? Okay, so the first time I wore a pair of pants was in Wisconsin. I grew up in a super strict church that we were not allowed to wear pants or shorts. We wore skirts because it had the appearance of a skirt when it was actually shorts, and that was somehow okay. I talked to my mom. I read the Bible and I talked to my mom, and I'm like, in biblical times, there were no pants. So this verse that says not to dress like a man is not talking about pants. And yes, my friend did say she was very surprised in looking at my closet and saying, you barely have any clothes. And that's okay, because I don't feel that you need a lot. You just have to style it in different ways and make sure to keep it clean, make sure that it fits, keep it mended. So yeah, I don't really have a ton of clothes in my closet. So that brings us to the lie. I love shopping, but I also don't like to browse a lot. So that's just me. I like to go into the store, get what I want, and come out. So yeah, what do you guys think? Are you surprised with those truths and a lie? Let me know. All right, so this has been another episode of Pure Fashion. Stay lovely, don't shun the comfy core, and take care. Bye. Plus, how next up, jump. Feminine but clean pot. All right, Sid. What is that called? Decomposing. So they gave them some guidelines on different decomposing. I'm sorry. And that's by the CFP from the Cash and Bountiful. And so that brings us to the lie.